Welcome to Bruno's MMA show. I am here today with my guest Mathieu Leonard, who is currently writing a book on the benefits of boxing in someone's life. Hello, Mathieu.
Hi. Thank you so much for having
me. It's my pleasure. Tell me, what can you tell us about this book you're writing at the moment?
It's called in French Le Poing Tournant, or the turning point in English, with a G, because in French, a fist, un point, it's with a G, so it makes sense that I put a G as a turning point. Le Poing Tournant in French, because of the punch in boxing. So basically, the book, I've been writing about it for close to 8 years, actually. It's been finished for about 2 years, and the thing is, what I found out when you write a book, it's never finished. Even though it's finished, it'll never be finished, because you always want to add something new. Something new happens in your life, and you figure something out, and then you want to write something else. But at some point, I'm like, oh, you know what? Finish it, end it, publish it at some point. So the book, basically, it's about 150 pages with 15 chapters. All 15 chapters will touch on the goodwills of boxing. Not that, because a lot of people think boxing it's violence, it's physical, and it's not very good. Well, no, boxing is the best sport out there, personally, and it helps the youth to get motivated again, to get their high school diplomas, motivation in their personal life, and it incites them to build new relationships, build new friends, and once you follow the rules of boxing per se, where you're disciplined, well, that goes also in your personal life, whether it's at home, at school, in your homeworks, with the people also that you hang around with. So 15 different subjects: high school dropout, the benefits of boxing and bad side of drugs and gangs. We're going to touch about the difference between a dream and a goal. We're going to talk about empowering young women and young men to focus on their studies and become whoever they want to be, with the help of sports, not just boxing in total, but the recipe of boxing that you can apply to your everyday life. Yeah, based on my experience, and I'm gonna have a few interviews also based on people's experience, so they can share. So not just they relate to me, but they'll be able to relate to another audience also. And I have two women and two men sharing their beautiful story to share with the people.
That's amazing, because I think, anytime people talk about combat sports, it's one of those things where I think you either get it or you don't. And
Exactly.
People who don't miss the determination, the heart, the discipline that comes with it when you want to learn something, what you
Yeah.
learn about yourself when you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I just I had to mention it in this show, because there's a funny anecdote about your training years in the gym when it comes to boxing, because I believe you helped a certain Canadian politician in his sparring for a match quite a few years ago, didn't you?
I did, actually. I helped Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, to get ready for his exhibition boxing match against Mr. Senator Brazeau back in March 2012. Actually, Ali Nestor, who was my coach, still does to this day, would coach Justin Trudeau to get him ready for his fight. And the funny thing is, when Justin announced, I remember it was all over the news. Justin is gonna get his butt kicked, and they all laughed at him. And Brazo was that guy, the long hair, the big guy, the tattoos,
Yeah.
looked like a stud. And Trudeau, he's not muscly, he's tall, skinny, but
Yeah.
he proved
Non-assuming.
to be, huh?
Non-assuming.
Exactly. So people gave a shout to the big guy and not Justin,
Yeah.
and it was a wonderful experience, because it's funny, because now Justin, wherever he goes, you got security all over. You got the news following him. It's like he's an international celebrity. And I remember during that time, we had about maybe one night I remember specifically. I think we had like one or two reporters here from the Gazette and Ep.7. Like, nobody cared, nobody cared at all. And people were like, you're gonna get your ass whooped, boy. And that's not what happened. He did amazing. We were so proud that night.
Yeah. And tell me, how long did he prepare for that?
My gosh, I know he had been boxing for on and off for a few years.
Yeah.
Um, I know it was an intense, I think usually it's about 6 to 8 weeks before a fight, when you want to train, especially it was a national fight. It was like a big fight where not just famous boxers would fight in, you have the media, you fill out the bell center and all. It's different now. It was two politicians going at it. And he trained, I would say probably 6 weeks. I mean, we trained a little while, me and him. With Ali, also, we trained a lot with Ali to get him in shape and get him prepared physically, mentally, because we know it's 90% physical, actually 90% mental, 10% physical.
Yeah. And do you think it would be a good thing if politicians more often got in the ring when they disagree? Do you think it would lead to maybe some better results because you get it out of your system, and then maybe you're more reasonable when you discuss things, you know?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, like that was a one-time thing, and it turned out pretty good because at the end of the day, they raised about 300,000, I think, for cancer research, which was really good. So I guess politicians, if they ever get in the ring, as long as it doesn't just benefit them, but a certain cause because of the hype and the media and everything it's going to bring, if it can bring light to a certain cause, I mean, why not? But again, it's a lot of preparation and training for boxing and actually fighting, two different things. You have a lot of people who would show up to the gym, big guys, tough guys. As soon as they got a punch, they couldn't take a punch. So you got to make sure the people you put in the ring, for their own safety, security, because I said it's 90% mental. You
Yeah.
put the wrong person in the ring, they get punched with cameras, it might affect them for a long time. So we really got to be careful who you put in the ring. But as far as training, anybody can do it. Fighting, that's a different story.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you often hear these stories about some fighters who do very very good at the gym, but then when
Yeah,
the time comes for an actual fight, they sink, and vice versa. You see people who in the gym they'll take
yeah.
it easy, they'll train, and then when comes the time for a fight, they turn it up a notch. You know that.
90% mental. The stress, the physical stress, the mental stress is so strong. Although you look calm, once the bell rings and you get that first punch in, it's like Jerry Springer. You better be ready. You better be ready because I said you only take one punch. One punch, and you want to make sure the person that you've been training is ready. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it, but that little spark, that little thing, you want to make sure. And look, today with social media, everything is filmed, so you don't want to embarrass yourself at the same time knowing you can do something wrong. And we never know how people react, so it's gonna follow forever. And especially today with social media, as I said, you gotta make sure you put the right people in the ring, not only to sell tickets, because at the end of the day you want to sell tickets, but
Yeah.
also to compete. But at the same time, on the other side is, if two people want to compete for a good cause, let them go at it. It doesn't matter, because as I said, if it brings people together for something good, then why not?
Hmm. That's a good perspective. And listen, I wanted to talk to you about this because I know that you are a Conor McGregor fan, right?
I'm a big Conor McGregor fan. I should have my T-shirt on right now, but it's okay.
Yeah, your Conor McGregor T-shirt. Yeah, I thought you were gonna wear it for this. So here's the thing. Recently, Dana White has said that he's not gonna make Ferguson and Khabib this year, even if Ferguson wins. And the the company that owns UFC,
Yeah,
Endeavor, is right now in some financial trouble.
yeah.
So a lot of people are thinking that Dana White basically is just clearing the way for Khabib McGregor too, so they can help their parent company. I don't know. I mean, I know you love seeing McGregor fight, but do you have any thoughts on that?
The Fertitas brothers and Dana White must be really happy they sold the UFC 4 years ago for $4.2 billion and not now. So they cashed in. As far as Conor goes, look, regardless, as you said, they might be into financial trouble, and we all know Conor McGregor is the cash cow of the UFC. It's not Khabib, it's not Ferguson, it's nobody else. He's the main guy who's going to bring in the money. So, on a business standpoint, will they protect him? Of course, they'll protect him. Will they put him at the right time to generate some money? Of course, they will. Because at the end of the day, you're in this business. The fight business is to make money. The UFC wouldn't be around today if the Fertitta's father, the brothers, their father, wouldn't have injected all the money he did to help his children to support the UFC because they had no money. They were making no money until
Mhm.
about 2007. So especially with the coronavirus now and the hard times we're having, all these companies, you want to make sure you put your main guy in that's going to bring revenue. So then you can continue on with other cards and help the parent company. Because trust me, you can have a wonderful card with the best talents out there, but if they don't generate money to help build those future cards, it's not even worth it. So Connor's going to come in, get the money in. So then Dana White and the company AEG can reinvest that money to build more cards. You know why? Because they're going to have Conor McGregor, pay him his fair share, and make a very good profit. And that's the nature of the business.
Mm. So do you think basically that right now, because of the current situation, I think your angle is that in this very specific case, it's for the greater good of the sport, and then afterwards they might bring back for like the match against whoever won, so he has the shot at the belt. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. Look, I'm not taking anything from Ferguson, from Khabib, for you name it. Amazing fighters, the best fighters on the planet right now. But who's going to bring in the eyes and the money and the crowds? Sure, Ferguson will bring the crowds. Khabib will bring in the crowds. But Conor's going to bring the crowd internationally, and he's going to bring the money in, regardless. So, for a greater good, you want to look. Example: professional wrestling or just movies. You put The Rock, you put Dwayne The Rock Johnson's name. Okay,
Yeah.
You're gonna make that money because he's a guaranteed revenue. Same thing for Conor McGregor for the UFC. You put his name, he's a guaranteed revenue for the business.
Hmm. Well, the UFC did put The Rock on one of their events.
They did,
Yeah.
and that helped. That brought in wrestling. Look at example: CM Punk, as bad as he did, in the UFC. Look at the buy rate that was brought in when he first fought. They had about 400,000 buy rates. That's a lot of buy rates for a guy that never fought in MMA in his life. So you want to make sure you have the right people bringing the money. We can laugh as much as we want, and that's okay. To each his opinion. But at the end of the day, this is a business. So having CM Punk on the card, as bad as he can, look, he's not that bad, but as bad as he can perform, that's one thing. But money wise, he was a sure bet for the UFC. As much as Brock Lesnar is a sure bet for the UFC. You put Brock Lesnar's name. Look, example, DC. DC recalled one of his favorite moments in MMA was being in the ring with Brock Lesnar to probably hype their future fight. And DC said, "Look, man, I'm in the ring with Brock Lesnar. I mean, how amazing is that?" And we get to go verbally. We push each other. He said it was amazing. So these little moments with the key people will bring in revenue. And as I said, I'm not repeating myself, but it's a business. Yeah. Put Conor in, put Lesnar, put CM Punk, put the right people, and then you're going to make sure you have revenues and at the same time pulling a profit to pay these other guys that don't bring in money yet because they're also an investment. Khabib was an investment at some point. Conor was an investment at some point, and they generated and they brought in the money at some point. So yes, you got to make sure you bring in the money. You have no choice.
Mm-hmm. I think if there's any closing thoughts from me, that is that normally I would certainly understand maybe putting I'm not saying I would approve when it comes to the sport, but business-wise, I would understand if Conor McGregor comes back and they put whoever on hold before they can have a shot at title or something like that. But in this case, because Ferguson has waited for so long and has been winning for years since 2012, I think, he hasn't lost in I don't know how many fights. And this is a case where it seems like any other moment, it would have been so understandable in a way because of the COVID-19,
Yeah.
because of everything going on. But in Ferguson's case, it feels like I don't know. It feels wrong because he has already been waiting so long. He hasn't been waiting one fight. No, it's not like the guy with interim belt waiting for one fight to be over to go back. He's been waiting forever. So that's why it feels a bit more wrong, despite all these circumstances.
And that's a crazy thing because see, Ferguson, he's in his prime, but I think at the end maybe of his prime, because you said he's been waiting for so long. So now's the right time. Stop
Yeah,
making him wait, because if you make him wait too long, then the wrong punch can come in. Look at Jose Aldo, 10 years undefeated. He got the wrong punch. It was a little bit too late against Conor, and that was done. His career was done after that. Well, he came back, but it was done technically. He doesn't sell out anymore. Senator Ferguson, now's the right time, or years ago, but if you wait another 2 years, it might be too long. Look at Chuck Liddell. He was amazing until he got that punch and got knocked out. Then he went downhill. So you don't want to waste the guy's talent by making him
yeah,
wait too long. So on a business standpoint, I would understand, but as far as you don't know what can come up when Ferguson if Ferguson wins, and right now this is the matchup to do. So it's tough because of the situation, and I understand, I understand as much as look, injuries and this and etc. But with the situation now, nothing is sure.
yeah.
So we got to be careful.
Well, Mathieu, listen, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure having you, and I hope we'll be able to
Much.
do this again.
I sure hope so. Thank you so
Uh,
much for having me. Huh?
have a nice one.
Thank you.